Star Trek. Voyager's infamous Amelia Earhart episode isn't as bad as you remember. Star Trek. Voyager's infamous episode introducing Amelia Earhart Sharon Lawrence to the Delta Quadrant isn't as bad as you might remember it being. Written by Voyager co-executive producers Jerry Taylor and Brannon Braga. Star Trek. Voyager Season 2, Episode 1, The 37s, was a holdover from the first season that was repurposed into the Season 2 premiere. In it, the USS Voyager encounters a 1936 Ford pickup truck floating in space, which leads the crew to a group of humans held in cryostasis for over 400 years, including Earhart, a personal hero to Captain Catherine Janeway Kate Mulgrew. According to Star Trek, Earhart was one of several 20th-century humans who were abducted by aliens called the Briori. The Briori, who aren't seen in the Voyager episode, once used humans as slave labor until a human revolution drove out the Briori and destroyed the ship that brought them to the Delta Quadrant. For 15 generations, humans have thrived on the unnamed planet that the USS Voyager crew finds. Although the Briori ship being destroyed means that a way home is once again elusive, the cities' similarities to Earth present a tempting opportunity to settle here instead of continuing onward. Star Trek. Voyager's Amelia Earhart episode was a good Season 2 premiere. Star Trek. Voyager's Amelia Earhart episode was a solid start to Voyager Season 2. After some humor with Lieutenant Tom Paris Robert Duncan McNeil being a history nerd, and excitement about the USS Voyager landing on a planet, The 37s is ultimately about Captain Janeway reckoning with leadership. It's the first time settling in the Delta Quadrant is an option, and Janeway has doubts about deciding to take the long way home. Earhart has a narrative purpose, too. By reminding Catherine how she values self-determination, Janeway knows the crew has to decide for themselves whether to stay or go. The flaws in the 37s are more about narrative structure than Amelia Earhart. Janeway's doubt as the emotional core of the story only emerges in the second half. Before the possibility of staying comes up, the 37s sets up a mystery about who the 37s are, how they got to the Delta Quadrant, how they'll adjust to the 24th century, and whether Voyager can get home faster. When colonist John Evansville John Rubinstein explains the Briori and human cities, those questions are resolved. That leaves time to explore the growth of Janeway's leadership style since Star Trek, Voyager's premiere. Amelia Earhart being in Star Trek. Voyager was a controversial decision that hasn't sat well with fans who are critical of the 37s. For one thing, having characters who are historical figures in Star Trek can be one of the sillier aspects of the franchise. Abraham Lincoln Lee Berger appearing in Star Trek. The original series Season 3, Episode 22, The Savage Curtain, sticks out as a series lowlight. Star Trek. Lower Decks' Twin Twain joke hangs a lampshade on Star Trek. The Next Generation's two-part episode, Time's Arrow, when Mark Twain Jerry Hardin boarded the USS Enterprise D. When Star Trek. Voyager premiered in 1995, the possibilities of a starship lost in the Delta Quadrant offered endless potential. Some episodes leaned into classic sci-fi mystery, others explored Starfleet principles in uncharted space, and a few, like the infamous Season 2 premiere, The 37s, went boldly weird. The premise? Captain Janeway and her crew stumble across none other than Amelia Earhart frozen in stasis on an alien world, alive and well in the 24th century. Yes, it's a wild ride, and yes, it caught flack for that. The 37s has been called corny, gimmicky, and even embarrassing by some Star Trek fans. But that's not the whole story. In fact, with nearly 3 decades of hindsight, this episode deserves a serious reassessment. It may not be perfect, but it's far from the franchise faux pas it's often labeled as. Here's why The 37s isn't as bad as you remember. The premise is classic Trek, with a twist. First, let's be honest. Star Trek has always had a thing for historical figures appearing in bizarre places. From Abraham Lincoln in the original series' The Savage Curtain to Mark Twain in TNG's Time's Arrow, Trek has repeatedly blurred the lines between history, science, and fiction. So when Voyager finds Amelia Earhart among a group of 20th century humans abducted by aliens, that's not a departure, it's vintage Star Trek. The 37s combines the franchise's love of historical speculation with sci-fi flair. Instead of a time travel story, it introduces the idea that aliens abducted humans from Earth in 1937 and seeded a thriving human colony in the Delta Quadrant. It's bold, imaginative, and yes, a little pulpy, but that's part of the fun. The episode dares to answer one of history's most enduring mysteries with a characteristically Trek answer. Aliens did it, and now it's up to the crew of Voyager to decide what to do next. It's a showcase for Janeway's leadership. Kate Mulgrew shines in this episode, and that alone makes the 37s worth a revisit. As Janeway navigates the shocking discovery of Earth-born humans, including her own childhood hero, she's presented with a difficult choice: return to the comforts of an Earth-like civilization or remain committed to the journey home. It's a pivotal moment, and one that emphasizes Janeway's strength. She doesn't demand loyalty or issue threats. Instead, she allows each crew member, Mackie and Starfleet alike, to choose whether they'll stay or go. Her trust is repaid when the entire crew chooses to remain aboard Voyager, demonstrating their unity and dedication. This moment cements Janeway not just as a captain, but as a leader people want to follow. In a series about perseverance in the face of isolation, the 37s sets the tone for the show's emotional core. The Amelia Earhart portrayal deserves credit. Casting Sharon Lawrence as Amelia Earhart was an inspired choice. She brings charisma, confidence, and just enough historical gravitas to sell the part. Her Amelia isn't a damsel in distress or a museum relic. She's sharp, skeptical, and strong-willed. She challenges Janeway, questions what's become of humanity, and offers her own perspective on exploration. That dynamic between Janeway and Earhart, two pioneering women from very different eras, adds a refreshing layer to the episode. It's not just about Earhart being found. It's about honoring her legacy in a meaningful way. Their interaction is a subtle but important moment of feminist storytelling, bridging a century of progress through shared ideals. The missed potential isn't a total loss. One common criticism of the 37s is that the story teases fascinating ideas without fully exploring them. The planet's human civilization, for example, is never shown, we only hear about it. Amelia Earhart's choice to remain behind is made quickly. And the historical abductees don't really factor into the larger Voyager narrative again. All valid points. But it's worth noting that the 37s was originally intended as a Season 1 finale, not a Season 2 premiere. The episode's setup, themes, and ending with the crew reaffirming their mission would have had far more emotional weight, closing out